How's it going, man?
Yeah, I do.
City of ski or snowboard?
Look at the racial breakdown. Yep. Always. Should be very interesting.
Yeah, do you have any questions? Yeah, can I just get this contact info? Yeah, do you want
We need to do a rundown of the signs as we see them. The only one that's legible so far is free speech.
Free speech is not hate speech.
Isn't it supposed to be hate speech? It's not free speech.
Yeah. Well, hate speech is not free speech.
Why is it back?
Yes, it is.
And today
That's
we're
the
going
only.
to be talking about hate speech and bias on campus and making sure that CSU understands that we are not here to stand for it anymore. And that we are going to demand change and make this a more inclusive campus for everyone.
Does that include conservatives? No. My spoon on the end of my phone just make people think they're speaking into a microphone.
And we want to stress that as much because anything that happens, obviously, we are a smaller community on campus. Whatever happens here will reflect on other community members. So we want to make sure that everyone is safe, everyone
doesn't
is
seem
here,
like a small
everyone is
community.
heard, and that we are making sure that we are doing what we are here supposed to do and not getting in trouble and making sure that we can move forward as a family.
Once again,
So,
I ask who
as
is
we are
included in
call out
this
CSU, certain things that we are wanting the campus to do, here are a list of demands that we have for call out CSU and specifically Colorado State University and what we kind of want to change as a campus. So the first one, we demand that the president of Colorado State University, Joyce McConnell, issue a statement condemning hateful and violent behaviors against LGBTQI+ and BIPOC students when incidents of racism, transphobia, and homophobia occur on campus, affirming the rights of each student group and unequivocally taking a stance on equity and inclusion after each incident. So that's just the first one. We have another one. We have 11 demands for this campus. Obviously, there's a lot of change that needs to be on this campus to make sure that we are more inclusive and a bigger, happier campus for the culture. 2, we demand that those responsible for committing acts of racist, ableist, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, xenophobic, homophobic, and transphobic discriminatory harassment, bias-motivated harassment, and other instances of violence be held accountable under Title IX and applicable policies in a timely manner with frequent communication about the investigation with the impacted parties. So obviously, if something happens on campus, we want to be notified. We want to make sure that there is something happening. We want to know that CSU does care and make sure that we are making sure that the person is committing these acts and that they are getting consequences and not just a slap on the wrist, as we have all experienced within these last years of being on the CSU campus. 3, we demand the creation of a task force to investigate instances of hateful and violent language to distinguish between hate speech and discriminatory harassment and bias-motivated harassment to protect LGBTQIA+ and BIPOC students from violent behavior and language. We demand that this task force must be made within 30 days of following the call-out CSU protest today. Obviously, there is no specific creation or of a task force that specifically helps us as a community, as queer community, as BIPOC students, as disabled students, etc. We want to make sure that there are people holding others accountable on this campus. 4, we demand required ongoing and continuing anti-racist, disability justice, and trans, non-binary, and gender-expansive inclusive education and professional development for all faculty, staff, administrators, police, officers, peace officers, counselors, and health network professionals, and students facing staff positions on campus to prevent the ongoing climate of harassment, humiliation, and brutality faced by BIPOC, disabled, trans, non-binary, and gender-expansive students on campus. Like I said, for 3, we obviously want those ongoing investigations. We want to make sure that everything is found out and that we find the culprits, we find what's happening, and that we have an outcome for that specific altercation. 5, we demand that those participating in hate speech under the First Amendment be relocated to the stump in the LSE Plaza so the violent language is not as disruptive to LGBTQI+, BIPOC, disabled, and immigrant students going to class. Obviously, we have all felt the absolute hate and discrimination among the preachers on campus and other people who have come and specifically target us on campus. So we want to move it towards the stump. That way it's out of sight, out of mind, and kind of to the side. We're not necessarily dealing with that threat and kind of with that discrimination anytime we go to class. When we go to class, we want to go to class, we want to be happy, we want to be our friends, we want to interact. We do not want to be discriminated. 6, we demand the creation of a notification system that sends out immediate alerts directly to students, staff, and faculty when an instance of discriminatory harassment, bias-motivated harassment, or other racist, transphobic, or homophobic act of violence occurs on campus. I know that we all have that meme of Joyce McConnell. Oh, she sent out another email. We are tired of the emails. We all understand that those emails do not help. If you look at Barstool, you can see about 50 to 100 memes about it. We all understand that those emails do not help or support us as a community anymore. Stand for a bigger, brighter future. Y'all can go ahead. You can This one's a little bit longer. We demand the creation of a system for observations of individuals and parties on campus by a non-police person to allow for close monitoring to prevent the continuing racist, homophobic, and transphobic incidents of discriminatory harassment, bias-motivated harassment, and violent acts towards LGBTQI+ and BIPOC students on campus. There needs to be a designated non-police interventionist who can determine hate speech versus hate crime in order to preserve both First Amendment rights while also protecting students from acts of discriminatory harassment, bias-motivated harassment, and violence. This system will have a 3-strike policy. If an instance of acts of violence, discriminatory harassment, or bias-motivated harassment occurs, the offending person shall be removed from campus for the remainder of the day. If the violent behavior continues after the 3rd warning, the